Yeah, away we go on a Wednesday. It's Mr. Relevant, presented by Door County Distillery. I'm Alex Strouf with you from the Gruber Law Offices, One Call, That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. Producer Tiny Hands Hunter Vaughn is back at the Everlight Solar Studio in beautiful downtown Madison. We're in that point of the NFL offseason where we've got a billion questions on what will the Packers be? What will they look like in the preseason? Can Jordan Love repeat what he did? And we're kind of just like limping our way into training camp coming up in less than 2 weeks now on July 22nd, which, by the way, Mr. Relevant will be live from Green Bay just outside of Lambeau Field on July 22nd for the opening day of training camp. Pretty much right after practice wraps up is when we'll be with you. We will overreact galore on July 22nd. So I've got three questions, two really questions, and a statement on Green Bay after hearing Kyle Wallace and Packers Hall of Famer Mark Tauscher yesterday on Kyle Bruston Ortman talk about Kyle's worries about Jordan Love and can he repeat what he did a year ago. I also want to talk a little bit about this Packers defense. Given, we seem excited. It seems like there's a unanimous excitement around this new Packers defense behind coordinator Jeff Hafley, but we really don't know anything, right? Like, we know nothing about this offense, or rather this defense, as it stands, today on July 10th, other than there was a lot of excitement for it. So we'll get into that a little bit. After the break, we're going to do something. We've never done it before. It might be stupid. It might be funny. It might be awesome. I'm not really sure yet.
Most likely stupid.
Yeah, probably. We are going to give out the first ever Wisconsin-focused ESPY Awards. And I'm really looking forward to these athletes accepting their Wisconsin ESPYs that me and Hunter just came up with about an hour ago. So because the ESPYs are tomorrow on ABC, hosted by Serena Williams. And, they give out the awards every year out in LA. So we're going to give out our own ESPYs here in Wisconsin to some of the deserving athletes who I'm sure will be just honored and taken aback by the distinction of being named a Hunter Vaughn and Alex Strouf ESPY Award winner. So we will do that after the break. And then we'll talk a little Brewers. 5 games left until the All-Star break as it stands here on Thursday afternoon. And then, of course, we'll wrap up the show with what we learned. So let's dive into this Green Bay Packers worried conversation, because obviously I've talked a lot about the Packers since the season ended in January. If you've listened to the show for a while, it's pretty much all we talk about is certainly, at least the most we talk about, is the Green Bay Packers. But 2 weeks ago, we had the annual State of the Packers show with myself, Jason Wilde, and Gabe Neitzel, where we kind of do a deep dive, right? Like microscopic view, every position group. We break it down, the transactions from Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney all the way down to the Andre Dillards of the world. We're talking about the impacts and the implications those could have on the upcoming team. And then we kind of give an overall landscape, right? Like, this is the expectation. This is where this team should live. And this is what we're looking at heading into training camp. But there was one question that I asked during that show that's still sticking with me. And that was essentially like, was last year fluke? Was what we saw at the second half of last year fluke? Because we kind of saw, outside of that Carolina game on Christmas Eve, we kind of saw the Packers defense step it up, especially in that playoff game against Dallas, right? They were a huge part of that 50-plus point game for the Packers. The defense stepped. They were by no means the best defense in football, but they stepped it up. They were better than the Joe Barry defense we saw earlier on in the year. Jordan Love was terrific. I mean, he was spectacular in the second half of last season. The wide receivers, the tight ends, seems like they came along and they understood the offense and they understood what to do as the season progressed and they started winning games and they won a playoff game and then they were in it with San Francisco. So the big question is, was that a fluke? I think the answer most of us would answer that question with is no. Last season was not a fluke for the Green Bay Packers. Last season was very much, what this team is capable of as the youngest team in the NFL, and they are again this year, the youngest team in the NFL. So I don't think it was a fluke, but should you right now, as it stands on July 10th, and maybe the answer is yes, but should you have the expectation that this is a team that goes into next season is a favorite in pretty much every game they play, a betting favorite in pretty much every game they play. They win 12 games. They win the division. They get the 2 seed in the NFC, and they're rolling their way to the NFC Championship game. Maybe the answer is yes, because Jordan Love is certainly going to get paid like the answer is yes. And Matt LaFleur is certainly viewed as a head coach where the answer is yes. So I'm not worried about the Packers, but I am worried about, quote unquote, living up to the expectations, because I think what I just laid out is a reasonable but nationwide expectation for what the Packers will be in 2024. At least that's where it stands for me right now. So I wouldn't say I'm worried, but that's where my mind lies, 12:35 p.m. on this Wednesday.
Strouf, I feel like you and a lot of the Packer fans who are at all worried, I liken this to you've just gotten out of a 6-year toxic relationship, which you have with Aaron Rodgers. Right. You're in a good place with a new relationship with Jordan Love, but you're feeling like things are going too well. Like, this can't be it. I'm used to drama. I'm used to craziness happening, and I don't know how to handle quiet and calm. It's okay. It's okay. Everything is fine until you see actual bad signs on the football field. This idea that there's even a conversation of a team that exceeded expectations and went to the second round of the playoffs, there's any worry at all, is absurd to me. I don't understand it, and Packer fans need to relax and just let things be good for once. It's okay for things to be quiet and boring this time of year, and you don't need to start feeling like, oh no, what if this isn't actually what it is? And what if things aren't as good as what they actually were? Relax, it's going to be okay.
So I agree with you. I first off, thanks for putting my business on the street like that, Hunter. I wouldn't say I'm worried. And I don't even think it's the quietness, right? Because I've said time and time again for the last several weeks, I think the no news is good news in the Jordan Love camp when it comes to the impending contract extension. So I don't think it's necessarily the fact that it's quiet, because I think for a lot of teams this time of year it's quiet, right? Like, there's not a lot of noise in Kansas City. There's not a lot of noise in San Francisco. I don't think there's a lot of noise in Philly outside of the Saquon Barkley signing from a few months ago. I think you're right. The teams that, quote unquote, are toxic, to use your relationship analogy, are the teams that are going to have a lot of noise. And sorry, Hunter, your team is one of them, in the Dallas Cowboys. There's always noise in Dallas. So I don't think that's necessarily it. I just think it's, I don't know if I saw, and look, I don't feel this way. I don't feel the way of, this was a fluke. Things are too good to be true. Jordan Love played way too well for what he actually is. Like, that's not how I'm feeling. It's more so the sample size wasn't as large as maybe I would hope it is entering this season, because I feel like everybody from an outside perspective, right? You and I do watch every Packers game. I watched every Jordan Love snap from last year live. So I know what Jordan Love is / was potentially, right? What we saw in the first half of the season hopefully is nothing you see in this upcoming season. But the second half of last season, you hope it is just consistently what he is. So I'm with you, but I wish maybe I had more sample size to base my judgment off of. And, I'm actually going to, I know you love when I do this, but I do want to talk about the defense quickly, and then we'll go back to MVP or slump, because the proof is typically in the pudding with NFL teams, right? Like Kansas City, San Francisco, some of those teams, Philadelphia, Cincinnati, if Joe Burrow's healthy, Buffalo, right? Those are teams that I don't think necessarily need to prove it to you. But when it comes to Green Bay, number one, Jordan Love had a really good half season, but is he really, which he likely will end up becoming, is he worthy of being the highest paid quarterback in the NFL? Can he consistently do what he did the back half of last season? The other part of this is the Packers didn't make a small coaching change this offseason, right? Like, I know all of us were on the fire Joe Barry bandwagon, and rightfully so. He wasn't a good defensive coordinator. And the product that Joe Barry trotted out onto Lambeau Field and wherever else they were playing year after year was not good enough. It just flat out wasn't, especially when you have championship expectations like the Packers once again do this year. They didn't have last year until late. And then all the years prior with Aaron Rodgers, of course, you have championship expectations. But the Packers didn't make a small change. This defensive coordinator change matters more than I think maybe we're putting attention on. Changing defensive coordinators is a big move. And you're changing your quote-unquote base scheme, right? Like most defenses play nickel, so it will still look similar. But like Rashawn Gary, who's on the screen right now, his role will change a little bit. He was a hand-down lineman a lot of the time, but he will be almost all the time now. So it's just a little bit different. But we hear all the excitement, we hear all the chit-chat, we hear all the buzz about Jeff Hafley and about the energy he brings and about the linebackers coach Campanelli and about the energy he brings and how great of a coach and experienced of a coach he is. They both are. But Jeff Hafley's never been a defensive coordinator in the NFL. I mean, that's worth noting. There's always been investment in terms of draft picks or money or both at this point in the players, in the actual stat or in the actual guys that are playing football defensively for the Packers. Can you just go ahead and assume it's a home run of a hire and a home run of a defense and the correct change? I mean, you certainly hope so, but you don't know that. And I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer on this Wednesday. It's something I've thought about. Defenses take time. Good things take time. I just don't think week one in Brazil that this defense is going to look flawless and they're going to look amazing and they're going to look perfect. I hope by, like what happened last year with the offense, by midseason and then into the late parts of the season and obviously trickling into the postseason, this defense is in a really good spot to put the offense in a position to easily win games. Because this should be an offense that's capable of scoring 24-plus points every game. Can the defense hold the opposing offense to below 20 points per game? Hopefully. I don't know that is a given, right? That doesn't just happen with the snap of a finger. So that's something that I guess my mind goes to of, I'm not worried. I'm excited about the change, and clearly everybody in the locker room is excited about the change. But I don't think that automatically means this is going to be an awesome product from day one, right? Like, I don't think that's an unfair thought.
No, and I guess I think when it comes to the defense, like, it was the same thing last year. Just be consistently average because of what that offense has been. And that's the history with the Packers. I did also want to go back to, because, I just want to make the statement that any real life situations that may have been referenced in my toxic relationship analogy was directed at Aaron Rodgers and nothing of your business. So really, you put your business out on the street.
I'm aware.
By reacting that way. So
Hunter, I know.
I know, but I want to make sure that the people listening know that I'm a good friend and wasn't doing that to you. You dug your own grave and you did that yourself.
It was one comment. Now you brought it back up.
Yes. But I need to know that I'm the good person and I'm not a bad friend, and I want everyone else to know that, okay?
I don't think anybody thought anything of it besides you, but continue.
Yeah, I'm making sure that everybody knows. I'm a good friend. But you talked about, Jordan Love needing wanting more of a sample size. Like, yeah, that's everybody that has the first year that a quarterback starts to play well. They want more of a sample size from him. Dak Prescott started all 16 games his rookie year, and Cowboys fans still wanted more of a sample size. He needed to prove it more. That's nothing new to any team at all. So feeling like, this might, like, he didn't show it for enough games, like, everybody feels that way. And it's okay to feel that way. And it's okay to have that, but to let that be at all a worry if you're a Packer fan is just, it's weird, because you're just feeling the same things that every single NFL fan feels at some point about their quarterback and their team. This isn't some new feeling that you're going through.
Well, it is for Packers fans. Absolutely it is, right? Like, outside of the offseason of 2008, it's a new feeling, because Aaron Rodgers, you knew immediately. Love, it was more up and down. And then our lasting memories, right, like a recency bias with Love is, okay, he's the dude. He's going to get paid like it. But do we know for a fact that what we saw in the first half of last season won't show back up? I hope so, and I do think so, but I could certainly be proven wrong. It's the NFL, right? Like, look at Jalen Hurts, I think, is the best example. Jalen Hurts had this unbelievable year 2 years ago. He brings Philadelphia to the Super Bowl. He has an MVP-esque season. He gets the contract extension, rightfully so. Last year they were good. They were 10-1 at one point. The Eagles were, and then Hurts is turning the football over, and he's not making drives last, and he's just kind of erratic all of a sudden. They lose in the first round of the playoffs. They lose the NFC East Championship to Dallas because down the stretch they just couldn't win games after starting 10-1. And all of a sudden now you listen to, and again, we're very inside, right? We're Packers. Well, I'm a Packers fan. You live in Packers country and work for ESPN Wisconsin, so you're very much involved with watching Packers games and Packers coverage. So you understand what Jordan Love is. But the national perspective right now with Love specifically is this guy should be an MVP candidate. This guy is one of the next guys. In the NFL after Mahomes, it's Burrow and Herbert and Love as the next guys and Stroud. And again, I agree with that. But am I totally certain that the erratic decision making and the bad progressions or the over/under throws are just erased from his game? Like, I think they are. I saw enough of a half a season of a sample size in which I think Jordan Love is past that point of his career. So that begs the question now, is it more likely for Jordan Love in 2024 to be a real MVP candidate or to go on a quote-unquote sophomore slump? I know it's technically not his sophomore year, but it is his second year as a full-time starter. I think it's much more likely he's an MVP candidate. So let me make that clear, right? Like, I'm not worried about Jordan Love. It's just that and the defense are the two things where I go, hey, if this is a 6-win team, I think these are the two things that went poorly. And I think this is much more likely a 12-win team and Jordan Love a front runner for the MVP. Because again, if like the like the MLB All-Star game, right, which is coming up next week, you kind of get a break in the season. If the NFL moved the Pro Bowl to mid-season, and they may, just like the NBA does too, they kind of do like a mid-season thing, where rather than honoring somebody's entire body of work, you just honor the first half, and that's how you become an all-star. Last year, Jordan Love's like, I don't know, out of the 16, let's say, NFC quarterbacks, he's probably in 10th or 11th place at this point last year, or the midway point last year. And then if they end up doing, an end of season where it just looks at the second half. I know like single A baseball does this. They crown a first half champion, a second half champion. If there was a second half MVP, Jordan Love's winning it. Right? So that's the part where I get tripped up. Is let's just say he completely duplicates what he did a year ago, right? Like first half of the season is not very good. Second half of the season, he's the best quarterback in football. It's a weird way to live. It's a really weird way to live. And last year, he gets the grace and the leash of, hey, like, you're a brand new quarterback. You're playing with a bunch of young guns around you. It's not a big deal if, this isn't a playoff team. There's no expectations. And then all of a sudden, the trajectory just skyrocketed. Like, they were kind of flatlining there for a minute. All of a sudden, they go straight up. They're winning games. They're beating teams they shouldn't. They're beating Detroit at Detroit on Thanksgiving. They're beating Kansas City on Sunday Night Football at Lambeau Field. They're beating Minnesota on New Year's Eve. They're beating Chicago to get into the playoffs. They're going to Dallas and winning on the road. There are some really, really high moments. If Love is that consistently, he's an MVP frontrunner this year. It's him, it's Lamar Jackson, it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Joe Burrow if he's healthy, it's Justin Herbert if Jim Harbaugh can figure out that offense. Those are your MVP finalists. Those are your top 5 vote getters. But if there's a little bit of what we saw in the first half of last year mixed in there, he's a middle-of-the-pack quarterback, which is probably still fine because I think this offense around him with Josh Jacobs and these up-and-comers is still good enough to be a playoff team in the NFC. But I don't know. It's just stuff that crosses my mind. And again, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. I'm just trying to realistically say, are we overlooking the fact that, hey, this still happened. This is part of the baggage. This is part of the sample size. And then you also have this part, which is awesome. It's the best Christmas gift anybody's ever received, is what Jordan Love did the back half of the season. Maybe Christmas is a bad thing to compare it to. Jordan Love was fine in that Carolina game. The defense was very bad. But anyway, Hunter, go ahead.
with this slump, though, I just looked it up because I was curious. I don't think Jalen Hurts should at all be the example of like what can happen. He threw 150 more yards this season than he did the previous one when he took the Eagles to the Super Bowl. And he was only 150 yards off from being top 10 in the league in passing yards. He finished 14th, right ahead of Lamar Jackson. Like, his numbers played out like he's still one of the better quarterbacks in the league. But you're only looking at
yards. Look at turnovers.
Yeah, but it's still like I saw him play enough from watching the NFC East. Like, even those turnovers, like it wasn't like he was just completely missing what the read was supposed to be or anything like that. Like, I think that entire team was not doing things well. There were bad routes run. There was bad blocking outside of Jason Kelce, basically. Like, there were other issues with that team. So to just say, like, oh, that's going to be the issue, that's going to be what happens to him, and, like, that's what a bad slump could be. Dude, if Jordan Love slides down to the way that Jalen Hurts did, this team is still fine. This team is still going to be competing to win this division because of the other players that they have around. Now, if the receivers are the ones that slide, or this offensive line, or like Zach Tom has a really bad season, that's where there's going to be issues for this team. If Jordan Love does what Jalen Hurts did this last year, the Packers are still going to be a fine team. They're not going to be a 1 or a 2 seed, but they'll be competing for the division, and they'll be a wild card team.
Hold on. I wasn't saying statistically Jordan Love is what Jalen Hurts was.
No, but I'm saying, like, if he has a similar slide down, because Jalen Hurts the previous season, he was top 10 in the league statistically. Jordan Love was as well this year. So if Jordan Love falls back to the middle of the pack, I think that the Packers are still
But Hunter,
good.
I can give you other examples, right? Trevor Lawrence is another one. He wasn't that good last year. I mean, he was fine. He wasn't bad, but he was middle of the pack after a really good year with a playoff win. I mean, again, there's other quarterbacks where it's you have your kind of ascension where, like, the offseason chatter, and this is my point, the offseason chatter nationally is, oh, whoa, they've taken the next step. They're going to be the next top 5 quarterback. They were doing that with Hurts. They were doing that with Lawrence. And now Love is that guy, right? It's Love and Stroud, which are the 2 guys from last year that had the ascension, and nationally they are viewed as kind of the next dudes. And if they take a slide, right, and it doesn't need to be either horrible, it means they're just kind of middle of the pack like Lawrence was a year ago and Hurts was a year ago towards the end of the year. Then all of a sudden this offseason, is anybody saying Trevor Lawrence, despite getting paid like it, is a top 10 quarterback? Nobody's saying that. Is anybody saying Jalen Hurts is a top 10? No, nobody's saying that.
But the difference with those guys is that Nick Sirianni and Doug Peterson aren't guys that are known to have consistently top-end offenses. Jordan Love's playing in an offense that has shown that it is always going to be a top-level offense. That's the difference. Jordan Love has a better situation than those two have when you look at coaching and I think even roster spots. Because, again, Trevor Lawrence's issues, like, yes, he regressed, but they had a lot of other issues on that team. They could not consistently get stops on defense. You can't put that on Trevor Lawrence and say, oh, well, see, he completely regressed. Like, there's other issues going on with those two teams, with the Eagles and the Jags, to then completely put it on the quarterbacks. They didn't play great, but, like, I just think we need to relax here when it, like, gosh, they need to get into camp. We need something else going on, because I think you and other Packer fans are getting way too into your heads. And this is what's happening now. You're worried about what the slump could be. Yeah, it is.
Because I think I'll still have this conversation in training camp, because I think the expectation, and rightfully so, right? Like I said, our goodbye moment from last season from the Packers was after kicking the crap out of the Cowboys in the wild card round and then going to San Francisco and hanging in there, right? And really, that was a game the Packers should have won against the 49ers, who ended up winning the NFC. I don't think I'm insane by saying that. So I think, I think our expectation this offseason as Packers fans, and I'm with you, right? Like, I feel this way. This is a 12-win team. This is a team that's going to look a lot more consistent than they did a year ago, and hopefully this new look defense works better than the Bay Area experiment. And it should, because I don't know how high of a bar that is. So my expectations are still really high, right? Like, these are championship expectations, because I think once you get into the postseason, anybody can do it, especially when you're operating in the NFC, not in the AFC, because I still think Kansas City's the favorite there. But you do have many, many good teams in the AFC, Whereas in the NFC, it's mostly wide open outside of San Francisco. And the way the Packers played against San Francisco last year, and you get a late season test with them, it's either at the end of November or early December at Lambeau. Like that's a measuring stick game. Like you'll know where you are against the NFC's best. But to your point, and you made a really good one there, Hunter, is Jordan Love is actually in a much better position than either Jalen Hurts or Trevor Lawrence, which are just the guys I'm using as the most recent examples. And that is, he's playing in an offense that's designed to be, pretty quarterback, well, not pretty quarterback friendly, extremely quarterback friendly. Look at Brock Purdy. That guy's lost 3 games in his NFL career when he's starting. I mean, it's an absurd number. Brock Purdy, who by the way was Mr. Irrelevant, he was the final pick in the draft a few years ago. He got thrown in there under ridiculous circumstances, and all he's done is DJ Khaled, right? Like all he's done is win. And when you look at Jordan Love, after some things got figured out for those young pass catchers and himself, all this team's done is win. So outside of obviously their final loss in the postseason. So if they're consistent, it's an easy answer to the question. Jordan Love will be much closer to an MVP candidate than a regression candidate, like some of those names I just mentioned. All right, let's do this. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to do something silly, stupid, and all the in-betweens. We're giving out Wisconsin ESPYs. We've got some fun categories for you, too. I got to tell you first, though, Mr. Relevant brought to you by Door County Distillery, locally produced, handcrafted, award-winning spirits made locally in Door County. They've got everything you need and more. Whatever you need to elevate your party or gathering, everything you got going on this weekend, use Door County Distillery, whether it's the cherry brandy or cherry vodka. Made with local cherries from Door County. It could be the award-winning whiskeys, the single malt whiskey, the bourbon, the rye whiskey, all the in-betweens. Absolutely delicious, absolutely scrumptious, affordable as well, but made local. It's a local company. Support local. You can learn more. DoorCountyDistillery.com. We step aside for 60 seconds. We give away the first ever Wisconsin ESPYs. Coming up next, it's Mr. Relevant. I'm Alex Strouf. I'm back at the great Door County Distillery here in Carlsbad with my friend Rob from Door County Distillery. We're making, it seems like a summer drink here, Rob, a cherry Cosmo.
Exactly, just our twist on a regular Cosmo. Obviously Door County, so have to stick some cherry into it.
Have to stick some cherry into it with the cherry vodka from Door County Distillery, made with local cherries, right?
Yep, made with the Montmorency cherries we're known for here in Door County.
I love it. Let's get to it. What do we got to do?
All right, so first, obviously the cherry vodka. We're gonna add 3 ounces of that. Next we'll go to triple sec, 1 ounce of that.
Need it for a Cosmo.
This is actually just cranberry juice, 1 ounce of that, half an ounce of the lime.
The Boston Shake, I've
Make sure
learned.
it's, ready to go.
That's such a cool little trick.
Shake it up. Shake it till you feel like it's shaking well enough. Strainer.
I like that color. That looks like summer. Cherry Cosmo from Door County Distillery. Cheers, Rob.
Cheers.
Tastes like summer to me. Visit DoorCountyDistillery.com to find the retailer nearest you, as well as a huge list of unique cocktail recipes. That's DoorCountyDistillery.com. Shout out, DoorCountyDistillery.com. All right, Hunter. I don't know if you've got music ready for this, but I feel like we should be playing some. Oh, yeah. You're good at your job, brother.
Of course I am.
It is my distinct honor to introduce you to the first ever Mr. Relevant Wisconsin ESPYs. Almost said Emmys. Wisconsin ESPYs. With the real ESPYs happening tomorrow on ABC. We have 6 awards to give away tonight to 6 esteemed members of our state, giving us great athletic memories. We start with our first award of the night. The Breakout Athlete Not Named Jordan Love Award. Given to the best breakout athlete not named Jordan Love. Several finalists for this award. Several. Good look at AJ Storr. Goodbye. From the Wisconsin basketball team. You could look at AJ Green from the Milwaukee Bucks. Where'd he come from? Or you could look to the team that's in first place. Where's my envelope, Hunter?
Didn't get those in the mail, apparently.
No, I got it. And the winner of the Wisconsin ESPY for the best breakout athlete not named Jordan Love, Bryce Terang of the Milwaukee Brewers. Congratulations, Bryce. That is Bryce's first ESPY award given by Mr. Irrelevant. Congratulations to Bryce. We now go to an award named after Bryce's teammate. This is the Salvatore Frelick Athlete You Irrationally Love Award, given to the athlete you irrationally love. In second place, we go to the Everlight Solar Studio. The runner-up for the Sal Frelick Athlete You Irrationally Love Award, Hunter Vaughn, who's the runner-up.
It has to be the former quarterback of the Wisconsin Badgers, Graham Mertz. He
wow.
is good. And even though he's not a Wisconsin athlete anymore, he's a Wisconsin athlete in my heart.
Well, congratulations to Graham Mertz for being the runner-up for the Salvatore Frelick Athlete You Irrationally Love Award. The winner of the Salvatore Frelick Athlete You Irrationally Love Award is Salvatore Frelick. That is Sal's first Mr. Irrelevant Wisconsin ESPY Award. Congratulations to Salvatore. Very well earned. Funny story, Hunter, real quick on Salvatore.
Yeah.
So I posted last month, I got a Salvatore Frelick bobblehead. I have hidden it, and it has been discovered and been kept there. I have hidden it above the cabinets in the corner of my girlfriend's kitchen. So Salvatore is like separating the top of her cabinets to her ceiling. And there's just a Salvatore Frelick bobblehead atop her cabinetry.
How long was it there before she noticed it?
Like 4 days. Made it about half a week.
Okay.
Which I think is pretty good.
Yeah. I was just worried that this was going to be like a month that it had been there. And then I'd be a little concerned for your lady friend. But 4 days is good.
Yeah, no. 4 days. And it's been there about a week and a half. So, yeah, it hasn't been touched. It's a little tall for her. I'm the only one that can reach it. So, anyway, hopefully it stays there like it's in a museum. All right, to our next award, 4 left. The Most Passionate Coach Award. The Most Passionate Coach Award. There is only one coach in Wisconsin that I know that often gets into a crab-like squatting position when coaching on the sidelines. Full squat as he coaches his team up to victory, which they happened to do a lot this past season. The Most Passionate Wisconsin Coach Award goes to Shaka Smart, squatting Shaka Smart to be exact, of the Marquette basketball team. Congratulations to Shaka. Well deserved. And, you know, I'm wearing my khakis today. Shaka squats often in his khakis on the sideline. Nobody deserves this award more than Shaka, who's building a very special program up the street at Marquette University. Happy for Shaka, his first award. Next up is a team award. How about a team award? Love a team award. The Game of the Year. The Victory of the Year. The Game of the Year award. Several finalists in this one. We have Max Klesmit leading the way for the Wisconsin basketball team over the aforementioned Marquette Golden Eagles. In third place. In second place, Hunter. A game that you hold very near and dear to your heart at the preps level.
Yes, the quadruple overtime state semifinal in Division I between Neenah and Arrowhead, the longest game in state basketball history, that Arrowhead came away with the victory. Even had players losing teeth on the floor. Yeah. It was such a hard-fought game. Yeah,
Bennett Bassich, who you're referring to, who's going to play
for Phoenix.
For a friend of the show, Doug Gottlieb at UW Green Bay. That is our runner-up. This year's winner for Game of the Year, I know Hunter's going to love this one, is the Green Bay Packers wild card win over the Dallas Cowboys, Hunter. How about the Packers, Hunter?
Boo.
Well deserved.
Arrowhead got robbed.
Good line. Good line. Only one finalist in this next category. Our final two, our most esteemed categories. The Female Athlete of the Year award. Pretty easy one. She was recognized as a National Athlete of the Year in her particular sport. Representing the powerhouse that is Wisconsin volleyball. Hear them this season on 620 WTMJ 100.5 ESPN Madison, your new home for Wisconsin volleyball. Leading the way for them last season, Sarah Franklin, your best female athlete in the state of Wisconsin. Good for Sarah. Happy for Sarah and her win. This was a tough one. Several finalists for our final award tonight. the best male athlete over the course of the last calendar year in the state of Wisconsin. Got all sorts of names here. Here are your finalists. Representing the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Representing the Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love. Representing the Milwaukee Brewers, now 3-time All-Star, Christian Yelich. Representing the Marquette Golden Eagles men's basketball program, Tyler Kolek. Would have been a good day to wear my t-shirt. Your winner for best male athlete in the state of Wisconsin, Tyler Kolek of Marquette basketball.
We are Marquette. We are Marquette.
I should have worn my Tyler Kolek NIL shirt. Who's he playing for now?
He's with the Knicks now. He's in New York.
Can we just be honest with one another for a second?
Yeah.
He's not going to make it in the NBA.
Yes, he is.
This was a consolation prize for Tyler Kolek. I hope he succeeds, but I don't know.
That is so disrespectful to him. He's going to be their backup point guard.
On the
He's
night
making
of his
it in
big
the NBA.
award?
Yeah.
On the night of his big award.
How dare you?
Yeah, Tyler Kolek, our winner for that award. So there you go. There's your first ever. How do we think that went? Our first ever Mr. Irrelevant Wisconsin ESPYs.
I think it went pretty well. I mean, Arrowhead got robbed, but I think you made up for it with the Tyler Kolek victory. So I was good with it.
We go to the groundhog who has popped his head up. Joshy DiMaggio, producer of Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Weekdays 7 to 9, 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee. Joshy, who did you feel like somebody was snubbed? Is that why you're popping your head up?
Not particularly. I think your awards were fine. I do have to beg the question, why didn't you just call this the Wisconsin Sports Awards, an event this very company has put on year after year? Not in recent history, but hey, you could keep it alive single-handedly right here on Mr. Irrelevant.
I could. Now, the issue with that is I stole the topic ideas from the ESPYs, which are happening tomorrow.
You want to know a secret about the Wisconsin Sports Awards? To give you a peek behind the curtain?
Yeah, that's fair.
Just maybe next year we can improve it a little bit.
Okay, we can work on that. We got a whole year to work on it, Joshua. We'll get you on the board. The board of directors, very extensive research was done over the course of the last hour and a half.
More.
Yeah, I know that. Reaction rolling in on the ESPN Madison YouTube chat. Kyle says, I want a recount on Tyler Kolek. That's BS, Strouf. Joshy, is that BS?
Yeah, I might be biased, but I don't think he was the best athlete in Wisconsin last year.
Who was the best male athlete in Wisconsin?
That's a good question. Probably Giannis.
Okay, he was a finalist.
Did anybody have quite the season he did?
Tyler Kolek.
Yeah,
Was
Tyler
Tyler
Kolek actually played in the postseason and, actually advanced them through
hold
the
on a
postseason.
minute. He didn't play in the Big East tournament.
Yeah, let's not forget.
Okay, and then he played in the NCAA tournament and got him to the Sweet 16.
Oh.
At least Giannis didn't even play in the postseason. Like, what are we talking about?
Hey,
Sweet 16.
Marquette hasn't been there in a while, Joshua. It's a big deal.
Wow.
It's a big deal.
What an accomplishment.
Yeah, the Sweet 16 that the Badgers
16.
happened to. Oh, look at our Sweet 16 streak. Oh, look at how many times we've made it to this. Oh, no, now we didn't make it. Now that weekend doesn't matter. No, it's garbage.
I get it.
Quit moving the bar, Josh.
I get it as somebody who roots for perennial losers. Being the final 16 is a big accomplishment.
Dude, you root for a team that's last national championship happened before the Korean War. Like, what are you doing?
Who said I rooted for them?
You know that you're a Badger fan.
I think he's just rooting against you, Hunter. If I'm being honest, I think after Monday's happenings, we need a new segment. Josh v. Hunter is it's quite the dynamic between the two of you guys. Now, Joshy, before I let you go, we introduced the Salvatore Frelick Athlete You Irrationally Love Award. The winner this year, Salvatore Frelick.
Yeah, yep. Mm-hmm.
As expected.
Cleaned up in that one.
Yeah, sure
Unanimous.
did. Unanimous selection, first off.
Yes.
And he's already the namesake before ever winning the award. Do you have an athlete you irrationally love? Because Hunter mentioned his Graham Mertz.
One I irrationally loved at a point, and then it kind of bore out, was Jonathan Lucroy.
Okay.
I started the Lucroy for President hashtag many, many, many years ago when he was hitting like 250, not like competing for MVPs and like the Silver Slugger awards at the positions he played. That's probably the one the most. I mean, Graham Mertz. We built our whole identity on Skelzo and Brust around Graham Mertz for like 2 years. So
What was the nickname he didn't like?
the Long Island Laser.
Or was it the
No.
Kansas Cannon?
Kansas Cannon. Long Island Laser.
That was Jack Cohn.
Cohn.
Yeah.
Cohn, yes.
And it was Mertz's mom that didn't like the Kansas Cannon.
According to
Mertz
Graham,
liked
because
it.
that's right. I asked him about it.
Yes.
I asked him about it at a Badger Media Day one year. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, I think that went okay. We'll bring that back next July. Congratulations to all our winners tonight, though. Seriously, well deserved, well earned. I know Joshy will be shipping the awards after the show today.
I think you should legitimately mail them to their respective places they play, their award for Mr. Irrelevant Awards, and just hope and pray somebody puts it on social media.
I want Sal Freelick to put on his
Yes.
Instagram story a certificate that says the winner of the Salvatore Freelick Athlete You Irrationally Love Award, Salvatore Freelick.
I think that's a great idea.
That's actually one of your better ideas. We'll work on that after the show today. We're going to get certificates printed out. So make sure we talk to somebody in our shipping department. All right, a couple things before we wrap up the show here on a Wednesday. Back with you Friday, as always, beginning at 12:30, ESPN Madison, ESPN Milwaukee YouTube channels, ESPN Madison on Facebook, and wherever you get your podcasts. Let's talk a little baseball. Brewers lose again last night. That's 3 of their last 4, with 5 games left remaining until the All-Star break. It's still a 4-game lead over the St. Louis Cardinals, but that lead is dwindling as we near the rapidly approaching All-Star break. Brewers, 3-game set with the Nationals this weekend beginning Friday, and then 2 remaining today and tomorrow with the Pittsburgh Pirates just down the street at AmFam Field. And look, I'm not losing sleep over what happened last night. I think it was a 12-2 loss it ended up being. It didn't bother me. The thing that really bothered me was in the top of the 6th inning. The Pirates had the bases loaded with no outs. And it was like a 1-2 count or 2-1 count or something. I don't even remember who hit it. But whoever was up to bat for the Pirates. Bally Sports Wisconsin. We unfortunately don't have a graphic of this because I think whoever the graphics person is at Bally Sports Wisconsin. That has been
scrubbed from the internet.
Yeah, right. Like I got to hide from this one. But it's my fault too, and I'm going to claim responsibility too. Because Bally Sports Wisconsin popped up this graphic yesterday that said most grand slams in the MLB this season by a team. Brewers led the league with 7. Pirates were right behind them with 6, and then there was 4 other teams with 5. The very next pitch, and I said out loud to the people I was watching the game with, I said, they're hitting a grand slam right here. Like it's a curse. It's going to happen. Next pitch, boom. See you later. 7th grand slam of the year for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I don't believe in like the announcer's jinx. I don't believe in jinxes. Last night, though, I'm a little skeptical. I think jinxes might be real. As the next pitch after that graphic was a grand slam for the Pirates to tie the Brewers for most grand slams in the MLB this season. Just ironic. It was bad timing by Bally Sports.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you if you believe in the broadcaster curse because I used to not. Or I used to, actually, so I wouldn't bring things up. Like, I did a baseball game at UW Oshkosh, had like 5 innings that the pitcher was perfect, and I'm like, I'm not saying it. I'm not saying anything about it.
Say it.
And so then I saw somebody else that I follow on social media who also does broadcasting, and he's like, look, the universe is chaotic and random. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. You need to inform the listeners and the fans of what's going on. So then I was like, yeah, whatever. But
well, Hunter, don't you remember a few weeks ago, Dallas Keuchel was making his debut for the Brewers, and we had the first inning right as our show wrapped up, and I said he was throwing a perfect game. He allowed 2 home runs like the next inning, I think.
Yeah, but that's just the universe is random and chaotic. It happens. So I've gone away from believing
Hunter,
the curse.
I can 1,000,000% guarantee you saying on the radio that there was a perfect game happening or a no-hitter happening will not change the outcome. Joshy, the groundhog's back. The groundhog's back.
I know that, and that's why I have changed my position on it.
Go ahead, groundhog Joshy.
I have a question in regards to Hunter. If it was, say, your favorite team, would you shy away from talking about your favorite team in that situation. If you were a Cowboys or I'm not sure, the Brewers had it and you were the broadcaster.
If I'm the broadcaster, no, because I think it's my job as the broadcaster to tell the story of what has happened the previous 5-6 innings or whatever it would be. So I would talk about it. As a fan, though, I would just be way too anxious and nervous about it. So it isn't that I feel like I would curse them. It's just I would be so like, oh my gosh, I just want to lock in on what's happening.
Is it
and
my
I don't
fault?
want to talk about anything.
Then are you saying it's my fault that the Pirates hit a grand slam last night because I said out loud it's going to happen?
No, the universe is chaotic, and you also just
Why do you keep saying that?
Because it's
a fact. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not wrong.
And how else should I describe how I feel about it other than the fact that I think that the universe is just weird and things happen at random times? That's literally the definition of chaos. So, yes, the world is chaotic, and you had terrible timing. You just have bad luck.
So before the season ends for the Brewers and we go see the Mr. Irrelevant tour to AmFam Field, we go there and Colin Ray's pitching a gem. If I look at you and say, uh-oh, we got a no-hitter going, are you going to whack me? Are you going to be mad at me?
Only if he gives up a hit the very next pitch.
Okay.
Then I'm going to be like, come on, what are we doing? Because it's just that unwritten thing in baseball when you're at a game. Don't talk about it. It's you don't step on the foul line when you're walking onto the field. So then I would, but it's not because I actually think you did anything. It's just that's the baseball thing.
Huh. Interesting.
Got to keep the traditions alive.
So not only are we mailing certificates, we're also taking a tour. I like that.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun.
All right.
Mr. Irrelevant goes to the park.
Sounds good to me. I'm in. All right, Hunter. You learn something new every day. We learn something new every day. It's time now for what we learned on Mr. Relevant as we wrap up the show. Hunter, go ahead.
They've announced the top 100 players in the new NCAA football game.
Oh, how many do the Badgers have? I assume this is where you're going.
Yes, the Badgers have 2 of them. I was trying to get their exact ranking up, but it is on the defensive side with both Ricardo Hallman and Hunter Wooler.
Wow.
Ricardo Hallman getting a 91 overall and Hunter Wooler a 90 overall. Both of them with 93 speed, too. So Hunter Wooler is just going to be a problem for offenses.
What you're telling me is these Badgers D-backs are going to be something this year in this new look Big Ten.
Yes. And
Alabama ain't doing squat.
No, Badgers are winning that game. We've gone over this.
You're hooked on that. I like that take. I mean, I'll let you have it for now.
It works too perfectly with the way that the schedules work for both of those teams.
Can we discuss just real quick? And we might have done this when the Packers schedule came out, but that weekend is going to be lively in the state of Wisconsin.
Yes,
because that is also, if I'm not mistaken, that is also the weekend of the Packers home opener that next day against the Indianapolis Colts. So you go Saturday, Alabama, Wisconsin, Sunday, Green Bay, Indianapolis. For the home opener. It's going to be a buzzing weekend. And real quick on the college football game, I learned something as well this week, and I'm really pissed off about it. So I didn't even know this was a term. I don't really play video games. I have an Xbox One, I think it's called. It's the whatever came after the 360. You need a quote-unquote next-gen console to play this college football video game. So in order for me to play the college football video game, I got to buy a new Xbox or PS5. That's crap. That is crap. I bought a new video game last week or 2 weeks ago. It was longer than that, like a month ago. And it's fine. It was a video. It was not an EA Sports, whatever the other sport making company is. I don't even know.
2K.
Yes, that's the one. 2K.
Yeah.
They released a 2K game, to be exact, WWE 2K was the game I bought. And it came out a couple months ago. They made it for Xbox One. Why is EA Sports not making this game available for Xbox One? That's crap. That's crap.
It's so that way then they don't have to lessen things from a graphics and a presentation standpoint to handle the consoles for the poor people that don't have a new one.
Don't call me poor. Everybody else does it.
Yes, and they have to dumb the game down in order for it to work.
Dumb it down. I'm dumb.
No,
let it be dumb.
I have a PS5. I want the best of the best.
That's crap.
I don't want to lessen my experience for people like you who can't get a new console
why would
that's
it
been out
lessen
for
your
4
experience?
years.
It would lessen your experience. It would only lessen mine.
No, it would lessen mine because they would dumb it down on my end too. So they would make it worse for me just because you can't get a system that's been out for 4 years.
I don't play video games. I'm buying this for the nostalgia factor. I don't think you understand how many people are in my boat. I don't think you understand how many people have one console they've had for 8 years. I bought this when I was in high school. I'm 25.
I haven't plugged my PS4 back in since I left Madison.
Well, I got bad news for you, Joshy.
Ain't gonna work.
Ain't gonna work.
I did debate it, and then I found out the same thing. Also, Hunter, can we talk? They said there's an improvement to the engine on it. It looked a lot like just Madden to me. Am I crazy?
Well, it's almost like football games look similar. Like the sport itself looks the same.
Didn't they say it was going to be different, though? It looked like last time I played Madden in 2000.
Well, yeah, because football game, like the graphics themselves, like, yeah, they're better, but it's more the physics behind the way the players move and the way that tackling works and things like that. That's what the engine handles.
I felt like I got sold a bad bill of goods. They lied to me.
So, Joshy, what are we going to do here, man? Because I imagine you're in the same boat with
Hunter's house.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Sleep over at my house.
Mr. Irrelevant sending out certificates, going to the ballpark, going to Hunter's house. Oh, boy, I better burn a week off. I don't even know what I was going to tell you I learned. I'm irritated right now, to be real honest with you. It's crap. Hunter called me poor. Why would I go to his house? Like, after somebody calls you poor, would you go hang out with them? I don't know that I want to. It's rude.
It's pretty rude.
We'll see if I agree, Joshy. We'll see if I even allow him back for Friday's show. I'm depressed. I'm going to go weep. That's it for us today.
Oh,
Thanks for hanging out
baby.
with us. Congratulations to Salvatore Frelick on being named the Salvatore Frelick Athlete You Irrationally Love Award winner in today's version of the ESPYs. We'll talk to you on Friday beginning at 12:30. It's Mr. Relevant presented by Door County Distillery. I'm Alex Strouf. Thanks for hanging out. Peace.